Thank you, Ms. Walker, once again for participating in the interview regarding students with disabilities in a self-contained setting. At this time, please give us information regarding your background and the students that you serve in your self-contained classroom.
Well, my experience in the self-contained unit here at Moats Elementary is about 2 years. I've been in this program for about 2 years. The students that are enrolled in this program range in grades K through 5. And our students have multiple disabilities, some of them anywhere from autism, language delays, as well as traumatic brain injuries. So we have multiple disabilities in our program that we do support and address throughout the school year. Other programs other students that we work with may receive services through related services such as speech therapy, physical therapy, and occupational therapy, as well as get support from visual impaired teachers.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information. At this point, we'll go over the interview questions so we can get more detailed information regarding your classroom. What is included in an IEP for this program serving self-contained students?
Some of the most important components in an IEP for the self-contained unit is to make sure we look at present levels of performance. We also want to make sure we have appropriate measurable goals and objectives written. We want to make sure the IEP has a schedule of service so everyone is aware of the service times to be provided in different areas of domain or deficit areas. And also we make sure that IEP has the signature page, which contains all the participants who were in that particular ART meeting or IEP meeting, and that is very important to have in the IEP for others that are working directly with your students to be aware of. Also, as far as the state assessment, we do address state assessment, district assessment as part of the IEP, so we can be aware of which assessment that student will take and which allowable accommodations that student will have. So it's very important that you also identify allowable accommodations and modifications that you'll be using with your students throughout the program.
Okay. In one of your statements, you mentioned the present levels of academic performance. Could you give me some more information as how you're creating your PLOF?
Okay. As when you're addressing present levels of academic and functional performances of your students, I generally gather information through what I call a pre-test. We do pre-assessments, which I use the Brigance several times throughout the year to kind of get a baseline of where my students are starting. And that gives me a feel for what goals and objectives that they are able to do well and which areas of concerns that we need to address and support to make those skills stronger for the student. So the PLOF is built based upon what we call strengths and weaknesses of our students. And we gather that through assessments, and those assessments could be Brigance, it could be a teacher-made test, but we do have to have assessments in place so we'll know if our students are showing growth and the best way to plan and guide our instructions.
Okay. Thank you for giving us that additional information. As we all know, the present levels of academic and functional performance are the teacher piece that is contributed to the art process, and that information is vital to creating great IEP goals, accommodations, and or modifications for a student with disabilities. One other question. How many adults work in your classroom, and describe the relationship that must be attained between teacher and teacher assistant?
Within our self-contained unit, there is a total of 3 adults in our classroom. And that allows us to have a more teacher-student small group ratio. The assistants are very vital to the success of your program in helping the student. my assistants basically support the program by making sure they are aware of the goals and objectives that they are addressing with each individual child. They also make sure we are helping to support the discipline in the classroom. They work with our students in small group settings to reinforce the skills that have been previously taught and introduced by the teacher. So my assistants will and have always wanted to work in small group settings. They work in one-on-one settings, and they prepare snacks. They also help with the toileting. So they have many skills that they have to be able to come into the classroom and communicate with the students, and communicate also with the lead teacher on things that may not be going well and things we may need to make adjustments to throughout our day. So they are very vital to our program.
And I've also witnessed your teacher assistants working with students in small groups.
Yes,
Could you
ma'am.
give me some information regarding that?
When we are engaged in small group activities, my assistants basically will work one-on-one, or maybe even two to one, a 2-to-1 ratio, and they will look at targeted objectives that going to be just for that student. So those assistants are basically working in small group setting to address and support identified deficit areas in their IEP.
Okay.
And throughout their academic and also any additional academic skills we are introducing to the students.
And how would you describe the relationship that must be present between a teacher and a teacher assistant? Starting with communication and collaboration.
Yes, and as far as communicating, it's very vital, again, that the teacher and the assistants are on the same page. We have to make sure we understand our common focus. We use the same common language when we're communicating with the student, so that we're not sending mixed messages and confusing them in their language and in their understanding. The teachers also, the teacher and the assistants also have to collaborate in preparing materials and also in how we collect data. So my assistants are also using checklists that have been made by me to support their academic skills as well as their IEP goals. And so we do a lot of communication. Communication is very big in a program like this, because you want to make sure each person understands what the overall goal is that we're working toward for our students and our families. So communication and collaboration is very vital in our program.
Okay. Could you just identify some of the tasks or roles that a teacher assistant may have in your classroom?
Yes. Many of the tasks that my assistants take care of will be preparing materials, copying materials. Sometimes we have to pre-cut things out. We do filing, some clerical things that they manage here in the classroom. But they also work with helping the students with their toileting, their personal care service skills, all of those things. They are very knowledgeable of the IEP. The assistants also are able to work one-on-one, sometimes with the students. Sometimes the students are definitely working one-on-one and redirecting also behavior, teaching kids social skills. Their goal and objectives in this program is just as important as mine. So they're like, I may be the lead teacher, but they're like the little mini teachers.
Okay, for our next step in our interview process, what kind of adaptive equipment is used in your classroom?
Some of the adaptive equipment that we use currently in our program may range anywhere from what we call a lift system, and that's a system designed to support our students who may not have good physical controls of their large motor skills, upper torso control, to move them around and help them navigate independently in the classroom. We have also wheelchairs. We have gait trainers or gait walkers for those students who may have been diagnosed with some maybe cerebral palsy or any other awkward walking until the physical therapist can give them more support. We also have in our classroom the standing frame to give those students an opportunity to stand for long periods of time to develop the muscle and the strength in their legs. We have special scissors that we use, like OT scissors, for those students who may have physical limitation within their hands and their forearms. And there are so many things we use in here as far as adaptive equipment, from even the assistive technology piece with the big buttons and other communication systems that are used within the classroom. Whatever is needed for our students to be successful will be, you may come in and you may see a wide range of different equipment. Those are some of the things that right off the top of my head that we use on a daily basis with our students in order for them to have independence, to be able to navigate the environment by themselves, as well as to meet their physical needs.
Okay. What is the most important thing you need administrators to know about your classroom?
As far as our administrators, the most important thing for me is to make sure everyone in administration understand the dynamics of our program, how we go about meeting the severity of needs of our students, and how that may sound in our program. The modifications and accommodations that we will be implementing with our students may look a little different in another setting. But in this setting, our students require so much hands-on and so much individualized instruction, and I just need the administrators to be aware how that may look and sound, so when they're coming in to do observations or to interact with our students, they will know how to appropriately interact with the students and what their needs are.
Thank you. Do the students in your program have an opportunity to work with general education students and their grade appropriate peers?
Yes. On a daily basis, our students are able to be with general ed students during recess. We have during PE, art, music, all the co-curricular activities. Our students are also included in those activities with the general ed setting.
Okay. Are there any other of your students that participate in general ed classrooms or with regular education?
Yes, we do have a few students that are encouraged to go out and audit the program, and that's to help them audit they audit the program for language, to help them understand appropriate language, and also appropriate social skills on how they should interact appropriately with their peers.
Okay. What is the most important thing you need general education and elective teachers to know about your students' success?
The